Thank you so much, Laura. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me first of all to thank the organizers of this stupendous event, the Minister, Mr. Bulut Bakci, for inviting me to be here with you today. I'm a retired Greek ambassador who has spent almost 44 years in promoting the understanding and better relations among people and states. And during these 44 years of experience, I found out that perhaps the most effective vehicle to achieve this better understanding and cooperation is tourism. It is the exchange of visits by people. So I even thought that, being an ex-diplomat, that it was the first level of confidence-building mechanism, a mechanism we so dearly need in our turbulent world of today. So I'm very happy and honored to moderate this panel with our distinguished guests. To tell you the truth, dear gentlemen, I thought that after the first day of this very important event, there is very little to add how to promote better tourism in its form of today. I say that because there is no doubt that tourism is being transformed. It is not just a collection of resorts fenced out from the locals, but it is a whole ecosystem that unites entities, people, and especially, allow me to underline this, the locals. If you don't engage the locals in the whole tourism procedure, then I believe that your efforts will have failed. And we have a lot to do in that respect, because the UN tells us that from $100 spent on tourism in a developing country, merely 5% remain at the global level. So with this in mind, I'm sure that our distinguished guests will have a lot to say on that. How do we transform what we knew until today as the best tourism model into this ecosystem, touristic ecosystem that includes so many, many factors? I will start with you first, Vincent.
Well, thank you, Ambassador, for these words. Thank you also to Minister Daniel for inviting us here in Angola, a wonderful country. We have already very good impressions, so thank you very much for that. Indeed, the word has been used a lot, the word ecosystem. It is an important word, I think, because ecosystems do matter. We have also heard the word air connectivity a lot yesterday, so I would also like to get back to that later on. You have two types of ecosystems. You have the economic ecosystem, but also the social ecosystem. What is part of that ecosystem? We think that you should actually keep a lot of parties, a lot of actors happy with tourism in order for it to succeed. The first group and the foremost is indeed the local citizens. These should, they should embrace tourism. They should accept tourism and they should benefit from tourism. And that automatically keeps the second group happy, which is actually the travelers, also very important. They should feel welcome. That is very important for us at TUI, that our tourists, our guests feel embraced by the local population, by the culture, and in order to take everything in the best possible way. Another group that needs to be kept very happy are, of course, the workers in tourism. The workers, and you're a former ambassador, but workers are maybe even the best ambassador for a nation to show what their country has to offer to the traveler, what culture it has to show to them. And two other parts, which are not persons, but which are more other forms of ecosystems that should be kept happy, is indeed the broader economy. The country should benefit from tourism overall. It should be a force for good for its citizens living in it. And of course, nature, because you have a beautiful country here in Angola. Please keep it beautiful. Don't let tourism spoil it. Tourists should see the country, not change the country in itself, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This gives me the right answer to go with a question to my dear old friend, Professor Martin Barth. Martin, I think that Africa and Angola especially have a huge advantage trying to develop today their tourism industry, in the sense that we see the so-called matured world in the sector of tourism that are facing today some very severe problems of sustainability, of infrastructure, of over-tourism, and so on. Whereas Africa and Angola do not face these problems. How would you, let us say, advise Africa and Angola to start with all these lessons at hand their fledgling tourism industry?
Thank you very much, Ambassador Michael. Let me start as well by saying thank you to the government of Angola, and especially to His Excellency Minister Marcio, for setting up, for organizing, for delivering such an important summit here in Luanda. The fact that His Excellency, the President himself, was opening this summit yesterday is actually a very strong sign. And I think it's witnessing was two of my very good friends, Najib Balala, the former Minister of Tourism from Kenya, now Vice President of WTTC, and also my very good friend, former Minister Abulfas in Azerbaijan, mentioned tourism is not just a sun, fun, and beach industry. It's a real economy. It's a strong economy. It's a powerful economy, an economy who can create a lot of jobs for young people. It can create growth, health, and economic stability. And the sign that the President himself opened this summit, I think, is a very important and strong sign. And I think that shows the importance and the interest of the whole government to move tourism forward. Now, a lot has been said this morning, yesterday. Let me maybe try to summarize in my own words how I see what maybe the ingredients for a successful integrated tourism destinations are. Of course, it needs a good and seamless accessibility. You need a good infrastructure, of course. You need good transportation within the country. You may need a better Wi-Fi, just what my colleague mentioned yesterday. For international guests, you need a good Wi-Fi, but that's probably easy to achieve. You need a good cuisine. The country has to be safe, secure, clean. I think this is like a little bit a given fact. It needs to have a clear positioning and a clear marketing. When we talk about positioning, I think that's very important. I mean, what does that mean? For me, positioning means, and Angola has to answer this question as well, where are we better than our competitors? What can we do better than other destinations? Where are we a champion in? And I give you two reasons why this is very important, I think. First is, and it brings me back to my friend Abulfas and Najib Balala, you have to convince the government, and especially your colleague, the Minister of Finance, where to invest. And if you have a clear vision where you want to go and what your strategy is, it's much easier to convince your colleague, the Minister of Finance, to invest in this or in that direction. Because you will not have the money to become the best MICE destination, the best family destination, a luxury destination. You have to, in a way, focus that people realize what you are presenting, who you are, what you want to be. And the second important point for the positioning is the locals, the citizens. If they understand what you want to achieve and they think that's correct because you build on existing values, or not on artificial words, they will support you. They want to work in that industry, and that's very important, that you always try to also convince the people, the locals, what you're going to do. Of course, all of this, having said all this, this has to be in balance with nature, with culture, and especially with the people living here. Najib Balala mentioned a very important point yesterday. Kenya managed to have around 50% of domestic travel. I'm Swiss. We also have 50% domestic travel. Why is that so important? Because if the borders are closed, if you have a pandemic, these are the ones who will stay. These are the ones who will go and create overnight stays. So whatever you do, whatever you build, you not only build it for the foreigners, you build it for your own people, that they can experience that. And that's the reason why they also, of course, need to afford that. So it's maybe not just luxury. That's very important. But to be very honest, what makes the difference, and I don't want to blame anybody in that room, is not the real estate, is not the building, is not the hotel, is not a good bed, is not the good light, is not a good breakfast in the morning. It's all about people. The difference make the people serving you, the people with a smile in the morning when you come down at the reception, the people who will understand and see your needs, the people who transform the values of your country. And therefore, I have to say, I'm sometimes a little bit astonished that we talk a lot about real estate, about bricks and mortar, about buildings, but shouldn't we talk about investing in human capital? Shouldn't we talk and to talk early enough? I mean, the good example yesterday was your colleague yesterday who said TUI is coming soon with operations with hotels in Angola, and they're going to have a school, a hospitality school. And we are already in contact. We will have breakfast tomorrow morning, early in the morning, to see how we can find synergies. They have the operations, the hotels. We can help them as SHL, the Swiss Hospitality School in Switzerland, to run a school. When His Excellency the Minister, Marcio, in March in ITB, he presented, and it was fantastic, don't misunderstand, it was, I think, the right projects based on a strategy, on a positioning, all these projects coming up. I approached him and said, Your Excellency, congratulations, but who is going to take care about the human capital? And he was very quick as his answer. He said, you will. And he invited me today to this conference, to this summit. You witnessed this morning, we signed a memorandum of understanding. So he understood the importance of not just building, and again, don't misunderstand me, it's important to have the infrastructure, but more important to have early enough a pipeline, a talent pipeline. So my message would be to investors, to government, to operators as well, take care early enough that you have a strong talent pipeline. And this doesn't mean you need a bachelor and a master and a PhD. No, not at all. When we as SHL work with countries, and we have a lot of other countries, we are in discussion of have projects. I think Shongi Africa from Rwanda Development Board is here. My very good friend Barbara, Minister from Zimbabwe. We talk with Uganda, but also with in Saudi Arabia, in Oman, in Indonesia, in Georgia. We analyze carefully the market. Where are the needs? Where are the gaps? And then we come up with a customized modular system with exits after each year. And the ones who want, they can come to Switzerland and do a bachelor. So I think my message is, again, take care early enough about human capital, about talents, because they make the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Barth. Thank you very much. If I was an Angolan, I would be very, very happy having signed a memorandum of understanding and cooperation with Professor Barth, an expert in what concerns tourism, education, hospitality, innovation. But now, next to our other speaker, Dr. Choksi, let me underline that Dr. Choksi is the Managing Director of Global Partnerships at Global Humane Society. And this is a society mainly dealing with the welfare of animals. You might ask, what do animals have to do with tourism? Well, especially in Africa and in Angola, I think with this wealth in wildlife, it would be very, very helpful to all of us to hear what you are already doing or you could do in order to have a modus of living together, humans and animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you to the Ministry of Angola. Thank you to the organizers. But mostly, thank you to the warm welcome provided to us by the people of Angola. It has not gone unnoticed. Beautiful. Now, Global Humane Society is the international brand of American Humane Society, which, as the ambassador pointed out, is America's oldest nonprofit organization working in the sphere of animal welfare. We will be celebrating 150 years next year. Some of you may have heard about us. In fact, I would guarantee you that almost all of you have experienced our work in the past and current and the future. What I mean by that is if any one of you has seen a Hollywood movie and with animal actors in it, at the end of the movie, there's a line which we call the end credits. No animals were harmed in the making of this movie. That's us. That's a brand. We've been doing it for more than 85 years. That program is one of our flagship programs, and that's now gone into certification of all things animal-related, including the animal protein we eat. We certify, for example, about 85% of America's cage-free eggs, broiler chickens, turkeys. We also certify 85 zoos and aquariums around the world in 18 countries as of last week, and we're just growing. And the reason I mention these different programs, which are what we call the certification programs, is that we certify according to what the latest in science and evidence tells us as what's best for the animal safety and well-being. So this is just a part of what we do and who we are. We also have a lot of other programs on rescue work, which actually originated in 1915 in the battlefields of Europe. We have a program that also alleviates the issues related to traumatic brain injury and PTSD amongst military veterans. So we train dogs called canines, a canine program. And we also have programs that work with small companion animals, dogs and cats, as pets. So we have a lot of different programs. And in a way, I apologize since I'm trying to fit 150 years of a history and work and programs in a few minutes. But I'll do my best. This is just a starter. Now, why Africa? Actually, we have established an office in the Eastern Cape in South Africa in Port Elizabeth. And it's an organization, another nonprofit that we are calling ourselves Global Humane Conservation Fund of Africa. We have been working with a lot of partners and organizations in different countries in Western and Southern Africa, including in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, in Rwanda, and in South Africa, and in Uganda. We're working, for example, around drilling of wells for elephants in Hwangwe Park in Zimbabwe. We have provided funding and working with researchers, conservationists, if you will, in Murchison Falls in Uganda, especially in the breeding of mountain bongos. As some of you know, we only have about 100 of them left in the wild. We also have been working with SANCOB, which is a premier institution for the rescue, rehab, and release of African penguins, which again is an endangered species. And these are just examples. We have many, many other more programs. But why tourism, and why are we interested in this particular field? Because in many ways, as the world changes and as traveler, 3 points I want to make here. As the world changes and as traveler preferences are also changing, the values are changing, especially when we talk about younger generation, whether it's millennials or Gen Z, they're all demanding and increasingly making choices when it comes to accommodations and experiences in tourism, which are more related to the values, whether it's conservation, animal welfare, sustainability, and so on. And so they're making a choice. Second, in many ways, one could say that animal welfare is part and parcel of the world of hospitality. And if you think about tourism in general, and we sort of segmentize tourism in many ways, we're talking about accommodation, we're talking about transportation, we're talking about dining, we're talking about recreation, entertainment. I mentioned recreational example in terms of zoos, aquariums. They are actually all related to animal welfare. So if we think about it more broadly, in many ways, it provides us, and as tour operators and people in this tourism industry, with both an opportunity as well as in terms of an awareness that what can be done to get a competitive edge. Because I think the person who gets certified, when I say person, I'm talking about tourism entity, I think has more of a option in terms of doing better than the competitors. In fact, we have certified properties in what we call an ecotourism program in different parts of Africa. We have certified safari lodges actually, one in the Choksi River. We have also certified Zambezi Queen on the Choksi in the Zambezi River. We have certified the penguin facility I just mentioned, Sandcob, Raggy Charters, which does whale watching. I mean, these are again examples of how the tourism industry can take advantage of certification as a third point here, as a certification as a business, I guess, appreciation. If a business in the tourism sector is trying to build its brand, if it's trying to maintain its brand, if it's trying to gain the trust of the travelers, the clients, the customers, I think is going to be more in alignment with the future world of travel. So having a dimension of animal welfare in the world of conservation writ large, I think this is something that we believe in and something that we hope the world will also follow.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Choksi. We heard very much about employment. And I would like to ask you, Vincent, do you believe that tourism could help reverse brain drain by creating opportunities for young, talented Africans, Angolans, to stay in their place and work, or even have young Africans and Angolans return to their own countries in order to find employment, good employment, well-paid employment, because of tourism development in their countries. Can you please give us your insight on that?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. So I do think that employment, and especially in the tourism industry, will be the future for this country. Not alone because the government clearly chose tourism as its future, as its destination, let's say. But for us, it's important that the local population becomes part of the whole experience. So it would be a wrong signal to those projects you were referring to. It would be a wrong signal to have foreigners working in these hotels. They must be coming from Angola. And all these projects altogether will ask a lot of employment. So that's the good news. But in order to get there, training is key. And I think your school will play an important role in that, and our investments as well in hotels, with hotel schools included. But that's one part. And the other part is the training of young people. The vocational training of students that are now in universities to indeed make them ready for tourism as well. and forcing women to make the step towards tourism is very important for us. And therefore we have our TUI Care Foundation. So that's an independent body next to TUI Group that is actively supporting SMEs and other kind of projects from the country, national projects, national SMEs, in order for them to succeed with funding and so on. So this is also a call for me today to the audience, to the broader audience. If there are SMEs that need supporting, SMEs that are active in tourism, projects that are in the pipeline, please contact us. We would like to take a look and maybe support it, because it's the future. Yeah.
A spin-off question on that. Do you believe that digital technology and artificial intelligence would be helping in this sector, providing more employment, or it would be taking jobs away from young people? I'm asking you this because you're also a young expert in this field.
Well, the question if AI is taking jobs, I don't think so. Because who are the specialists in AI? Mostly the young people. They are developing all kind of tools and etc. And that is also part of the broader tourism ecosystem. So no, I don't think AI will actually take jobs. It might actually enhance it. There is a lot of opportunity in AI. So I wouldn't fear it. I would embrace it. And the fact is, it's quite young as a technology. So everyone can still become a leader. So why not Angola? And the youth of Angola could therefore benefit from it. Yeah.
Thank you. I see Martin wanting to answer this question. Please go ahead.
Please, yes, I think it's a very important point you raised, I think, and we can't say it enough. Tourism, travel, tourism, hospitality will create a lot of jobs in this country, will create a lot of jobs in this country. And I mean, there are probably not a lot of industries who can create so many jobs like travel, tourism, hospitality. And it can create a lot of jobs on different levels. You need the waiter, you need the one at the reception, you need the one who is cooking. So it's different levels. That's first point. Second point is, I'm a lawyer as profession. I can't work abroad. But if you are working travel, tourism, hospitality, you can work all around the world. Because hospitality is, of course, there are some cultural differences, but hospitality is all over the world the same. So that would be also my message, not only to the government, but also to parents sitting in that room. Talk to your children, to your sons, to your daughters, convince them that tourism, travel, hospitality is a fast-growing industry in your country. It's an industry, an international industry. It's very exciting. And to maybe also add this point, I think the influence of artificial intelligence is not that big like in my industry where I'm coming from, law. I'm not sure if the lawyers can bill what they build today, because AI will be faster and quicker and more efficient than every lawyer. So there is, of course, room for AI, and it will replace some of the people, but be honest, hospitality is still a people's business. I mean, I don't want to talk to a computer or to a roboter when I'm checking in. I want to have a smile of an Angolian person welcoming me at the reception. So to the parents, I would say, it's a future-oriented industry. And to government, I would say, create the jobs. And maybe just to add that, Mike, my last point, there are countries, Kazakhstan, for example, they send students abroad, they pay for them, scholarship, but they do a contract with them because they want the knowledge back in the country. So they finance a bachelor maybe or a diploma abroad, but they say, but you have to come back. And if you don't come back, you have to pay back, which I think is fair enough. But it's not only training maybe within the country. That's the reason why we also discuss, is it the last year in Switzerland or the full program in Switzerland. So it's a mixture of different things which will then create a workforce which is diverse, women, young, and I think that's very important.
Yes, Vincent, please.
Yeah, I actually wanted to compliment on that, and maybe to point or pinpoint a bigger threat for tourism and its development, and that is what I said at the beginning is air connectivity. And I'm not going to repeat what has been said before. We need more airlines. All airlines that want to come, I think it's a good thing. We should embrace it. But what we see from a TUI group in our experience is what is blocking growth in tourism is protectionism, and especially in air connectivity. A lot of countries are proud of their national airline, and they should be. But next to the national airline, there are many other operators who can bring tourists towards the destination, and eventually that will also benefit the national airline of the country. So that's really a message from the TUI group towards Angola, who is now discovering the development of tourism. Watch out for this protectionism, especially in aviation. All kind of connectivity is good. When, for instance, if we would come with our airline, that would also have a knock-on effect for other investors. And bit by bit, there will be a lot of demand also for the national airline, the pride of the nation. And very, very short, the former minister of Azerbaijan said it yesterday already. Ministries should work well together, and it's not only the budget ministry that should be included, but also the transport ministry. We see that in a lot of countries, the tourism minister has a lot of goals. They are very far-reaching, but they are blocked in other ministries, and most of the time is the transport ministry. So I really cheer what you said yesterday. There should be a council in the country to jointly tackle this issue or this chance, this opportunity of tourism. But include this transport minister, that he understands what the goal is of the Ministry of Tourism.
Yeah. No. Well, let me say that connectivity is also the main theme of the next panel, connectivity in its broadest sense. I would like now to ask something that I don't think I heard it before. Climate change, which is really reshaping global travel patterns. What do you believe, Mr. Choksi? Because we have the natural, let us say, life playing such a big role in what concerns African tourism. What do you believe the consequences of climate change could be or would be? Could we see Africa after 20 years becoming a major tourism winner because it will have managed the consequences of climate change better than others?
Mr. Ambassador, I did ask you to not ask me any hard questions, but I'll try my best. So I think it's a great question indeed. So I mentioned earlier the organization that we established in the Eastern Cape in South Africa. It's focused on biodiversity loss. It's also focused on conservation. It's focused on certain species that are going extinct. And while we can all blame climate change on that, it's also issues of the interaction between humans and animals in the wild. And so we got to be very conscious of that as well. So what can an organization like ours do? A good example is just about a year ago, we purchased a 275-hectare property in the Eastern Cape, in the Addo River Basin area. And the purpose of that is to take a look at, in a way, we're sort of trying to practice what we preach. We're trying to take a look at how can we really restore the land, because right now there have been a lot of fences. To create a corridor that would link about 2 million hectares in total, once all the properties and the land areas are connected through, right now there are a lot of fragmentation. There's also a movement in the Eastern Cape of lots of conservationists trying to buy that land so that animals in the wild can move about freely. Related to tourism, it's actually a big area right now for tourists from around the world to visit the Eastern Cape. I was talking to Mr. Osama earlier this morning, and he mentioned Shamwari Lodge, for example, in the Eastern Cape. And I said, that's great. I was there 2 years ago as well. And the area I'm talking about is very close to that. These are living examples of how we can really, in our own small way, mitigate the effects of climate change by combining different areas where there could be a freer movement of animals. Because when we talk about climate change, we're talking about just not issues of energy and talking of ESG issues and so on. Sometimes I feel that the role of animal welfare is missing from the larger discussions of conservation and issues of climate, especially when we talk about all the different kinds of issues related to sustainability. My good friend from GSCC, who was talking yesterday about the certification programs on sustainability, I think they have also realized that animal welfare is a huge issue when it comes to the demand that's been I guess, created by younger demographics, and also, of course, the need for hotels, hospitality centers, and other kinds of tourism travel-related endeavors to take a look really about the carbon footprint. But again, to me, it's about the animal welfare issue.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think our time is over. If I could make a takeaway, I would say that perhaps the question for Angola and Africa is not how to catch up with existing tourism models, but how to build the next generation of tourism destinations. And allow me to say that what we heard today from our distinguished panelists has given you a hint of what the right direction can be. So thank you very much for hearing, and applause please to our distinguished speakers.